Okay, welcome to part 2 of your PowerPoint video on informative speaking. Let's look at your outline. How do you construct your informative outline? Now let me remind you the purpose of a typed outline. It's your foundation for your speech. Okay, we know when we're talking about the structure of a speech, we have our introduction, our body, and conclusion. Okay, that's just the basic structure. And within those areas, you have elements. So let's look at this. Here we see, and this is going to come up, central idea, the beginning part of your outline. This goes over your general purpose, your specific purpose, and then your central idea. But the core of your outline and what you will be speaking, is your introduction, your body, and your conclusion here. Okay, so in your outline, in your introduction, what you want to point out and what you will be saying is the very first thing is your attention getter. Okay, that spin that you put on your information, that rhetorical question, that story, the way that you capture your audience into your speech, that you want to, the way that you make us want to listen to what you're going to talk about, your attention getter, real short, real sweet. Then you tell us the credibility of you as a speaker, credibility, why we should listen to you. Where is this material coming from? Is it based on experience? Is it based on research, or both? Okay, again, a brief line. And then the relevance to the audience, why we need to know this, how this will help us, what's the benefit. Remember, this is your audience analysis that you've done. Maybe it's just new information. And then lastly, and very important, is the preview of your speech. Now remember what I said earlier is that your central idea can be written as your preview of your speech. You're going to tell us what you want to inform us about, what you want us to understand at the end of the speech. Today I'm going to talk to you about Yosemite National Park and the areas that I'm going to cover, and you tell us those 3 to 5 main points that you will be covering in the main body of your speech. It's the preview of points. It's the preview. It's the trailer before the movie. It's the preview before we hear what the body of the speech is. And then you offer these links. We see this in your outline. Link between first and second main point. Link from introduction to main point. So you would say something like a good link is a preview and then a review. Again, a good link is a preview and then a review. So you say, now that you know what we're going to talk about, let's look at our first main point, okay? And then go into your speech. You see you have your main points with your subpoints, okay? So that's subpoints support the main points support your goal, your topic, okay? Within your main points, so when you're going from point 1 to point 2, you offer that link, that transition from point 1 to point 2. You say, now that we've talked about where Yosemite is located, let's look at our second point, which is, so again, those transitions that bring you from one point to the next. And then in the end, we have our conclusion. You summarize those points again. You give us that wow statement. Now that we've talked about Yosemite, now you see the benefit of visiting this national park. Next time you are on the West Coast, make sure you visit this wonderful national park, whatever it is. But that's your wow statement at the end. And then you have your works cited information at the end of your outline. So this is your outline. You take that information and then you put it on note cards and you practice and you edit. Remember, the creative process is an ongoing process, and then you eventually deliver and present. How do you organize an informative speech? Well, recognize that within the body of your speech, okay, you could have many different types of organizational patterns. Be aware that chronological is from point 1 to point 4. It's just chronologically through time. Spatial could be like an organization. Let's think about where you work. Let's look at HACC as a college. Spatial would say the departments within the organization of HACC include, and that would be your points that you use to go through the body of that particular speech. So it's spatial as it relates to your topic. Topical would be in a sense of what's most important, what's least important, or some way that you kind of put them in topics or subject of categories of your points. Comparative problem solution, that relates to persuasiveness, and we'll be looking at that in your persuasive speech. Causal, that's based on cause and effect. Not one that I highly recommend, but it is something that you should know that it's available. Most students use topical because they just kind of break it down into different most important, least important organization categories, or to explain or to instruct is chronological. You kind of tell us the steps. So think about that in the body of your speech. Commit to your strategy and stay with it. Okay, so think about what strategy you're going to use and continue to use that within the body of your speech. Construct your main points. I ask that you have 3 to 5 main points. Let me repeat that, because sometimes in some textbooks they say 2 main points. We need a good 3 main points to support that topic. So 3, 4, or 5 main points. Make sure those main points in your outline are sentences. They're parallel structure. They're all the same. They all start the same. Here we see this here. What adventures? What is important? Or it could be first criterion, second criterion, third criterion. Or they could start with active verbs. Whatever it is that make them parallel and that they're balanced. Okay, that you think about them, how they will be used in your speech, the time that you spend on each point. You don't want to spend 6 minutes on one point and 30 seconds each on the other points. You kind of want to balance them out somewhat. Obviously, some points will have more time and be more in depth, but be sure that they're balanced. Organizing your support materials. As you know, you have your, let's say you have 3 main points, and then you will, in a sense, brainstorm for your support material that supports each of those main points. This is where you bring in your good examples, your research, perhaps expert opinions. This is where you bring in maybe small anecdotal information, stories. We love stories. Whatever it is that supports that main point, that we can understand that point that then, in a sense, supports your topic. And then lastly, after you have your body put together, you put together your introduction. A lot of times when we think about our outline or our speech, we think about it in order of introduction, body, and conclusion. Well, how can you put together your introduction if you don't know what you're introducing, which is your body? So you first start with that body, and then we go back and we put together an introduction. You think about your attention getter. You think about how you will plan out your introduction with your credibility, your relevance to your audience, and then obviously your preview of points. Your conclusion, again, you want to review those points in that body as a summary, and then kind of end it with a wow statement or relevance to your audience. How should you prepare to present or evaluate an informative speech? Well, put your speech on its feet. Guys, you're online here. You're practicing at home. You're timing yourself. As you're practicing, you're editing your information. You think about as if you're speaking to an audience as you are practicing. It's so important to rehearse this several times. Some students need to rehearse it 10, 15 times. Some students just 3 times, okay? Wherever you fall. Sometimes there's anxiety issues. So again, the more you practice, the more it settles in your noggin there. So it makes it a little bit easier when the time comes for you to deliver your speech. Okay, pay attention to language choices. Okay, what type of language are you using? Can your audience relate to it? Are they good examples? Good, solid, concrete, specific information, examples or words that bring those good visuals in the minds of your audience. Rehearse it and consider your presentation aids. Again, your informative needs to have visual aids. You will be graded on this. This is college policy. Highly encourage you to use PowerPoint. However, if PowerPoint just does not is not copacetic with your speech topic, and it's, say you're talking about a piece of artwork, okay? Make sure you use it appropriately, you bring it out when it's time to refer to it, that you put it away when you don't need to have that visual aid. But again, choose up to two visual aids, or I'm sorry, we should have at least 2 visual aids for you to be presenting in your speech. Evaluate your message. Again, make sure it's clear, it's accurate, it's organized. Assess your delivery. Okay, think about your good delivery techniques of your eye contact, your voice, your gestures. Sometimes we could use gestures to communicate. Like for instance, let's say I'm explaining how to ski, and I'm talking about the type of skis I use. And let's say I'd say to you, you know what, I use very short skis, and I like to ski in very deep snow. Okay, I told you that sentence. I explained something to you, but if I say to you, you know what, I like to ski with short skis. My skis are only this short. And the snow, let's say this is the bottom of the ground. The snow is at least 3 feet deep, okay? So when you give those visuals with your gestures, your audience understands a little bit better, okay? Keep an eye out what works and what doesn't work. Again, this is, you put yourself in the audience position. When you're practicing your speech, was that clear? Was that research, really good research? Will they understand what I'm saying? So that's what you need to do, is put yourself in the audience's position. And that's it for informative speaking. I wish you good luck, and hard work to complete this particular speech. This is one of your first major speeches. Definitely go through the process that we just explained, cover the information in your module, and baby steps. It may seem overwhelming at first, but if you continue to work in the thought process that we've created for you, you will deliver a phenomenal speech. Take care.